Let's not delay. Let's get right to it. Jonny joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Quinn Hughes, your thoughts?
I'm ecstatic about it. I know the hockey community has been waiting for me to either give my thumbs up or my thumbs down on it. I am their North Star. And so in some ways I feel bad that it's taken this long after the deal for me to get out here because they've been waiting with bated breath for me. But I think it's great. I love that Billy Guerin is swinging for the fences. I think that championship windows open and close quickly. And so if you think you have a chance to do something, go do it. I mean, this is a team that has been stagnant for a long time. And so to go get someone of his caliber at a position of need, and you had to pay a big price for it, but you know what? Take a big swing and see what happens. So I'm very happy to see that. Anytime an organization gets aggressive like that and goes for it and is not afraid of the repercussions, that's, to me, ultimate seal of approval. So who knows what will happen, but I just loved it.
Have you seen enough already the last 2 weeks from J.J. McCarthy to say, we don't have to think about bringing in another quarterback to compete? This is our guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I have seen that enough yet, but certainly I think that what he's shown is that we don't have to make a decision one way or another right now. Just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, you didn't have to decide that he was a bust and that it was never going to work, and you better go look for other options, or you better tank so you get a great pick and then you can start all over. I also don't want to, after just a couple of good games against bad defenses, say that, yes, he's going to be the quarterback here for 10 years. But I do think that it's really important that he has taken a step forward in these 2 games. And I am not one of those, Dan, who is worried about these wins affecting their draft status right now, because I just think that the best case scenario is JJ continues to play well and maybe even improves more and more over the rest of this season. And then you see enough to say, yes, let's stay with it. Let's keep developing him, because it is so hard to change course in the middle of a plan like this. And so I'm encouraged by it for sure. I don't want to stamp him as the guy, but I also think that some of the fret after 2 or 3 bad games was a little overwrought as well. So let's just keep it going and get some more information before we decide one way or the other.
Jonny's appearance, of course, brought to you by RBC Wealth Management. We'll also be talking about a Jonny event with the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Finch. We'll get to that a little bit later as well, or as he affectionately calls him, Finchy. By the way, does he ever call you Jonny? Or does he just go with John?
No, he usually says John, and it's usually out of annoyance from a question in the post game. And whenever he says my name,
you know it's trouble.
In an answer,
yeah,
I know it's trouble.
Yeah.
So, and I hear it quite a lot. So, yeah.
That's a bit of an issue for sure. So I guess what we're left with the purple, we know they were mathematically eliminated yesterday. I guess on the basis of the Bears win. I think that was what triggered it.
Correct.
So what else are we trying to find out? I mean, we know a lot of it's at the quarterback spot. Are there other things we're trying to find out, including, the top of my list would be, what do we got going with Christian Darrisaw? Is there something behind the scenes, an unhappiness we don't know about, or is this simply a case of every once in a while the healing doesn't go the way it's supposed to, and that we've got signs that it's going sideways a little bit for him? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that we've talked about it on this show a couple of times, Dan, but I do think that has been, all I can say is that's been a weird situation all season long. And it could be as simple as this was a major, major injury that he suffered, and there are going to be ups and downs with the comeback, and there's going to be fits and starts and things of that nature, but it feels like this has not been a smooth process, whether it is kind of trust between player and organization, or whether there's been some mistakes on the medical side of things from either the player or the organization. Something has not been right. for most of this season. And I do think that you bringing it up is important because at his best, when he is playing really well and he is locked in, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. And he really does make a difference on that offensive line. But it has not been the case for all of this season that he hasn't. It's a really hard situation to start a game. And one of the things you're asking is our left tackle going to finish the game? And not because he suffers an injury in game, but because of whatever he's dealing with, either flares up or he doesn't feel right or whatever the case may be. And so I do think if there is a possibility of gaining clarity on that as this season comes to a close, that would be valuable for trying to plan ahead for next season, because if you need to find a new left tackle for whatever reason, that's a major, major undertaking as well.
Do you believe now or at some point we're going to regret not drafting Bo Nix?
Oh, he looked pretty good the other day, right? And Sean Payton,
it's an 11 in a row?
He told us so.
It's crazy.
Sean Payton told us.
He did, and I mocked him for it. Gaardsy and I both.
We were going to rue the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looked good. He absolutely looked good. He does seem to be picking up steam as the season goes along. It's to me, I have a hard time, Dan, comparing him to McCarthy because Bo Nix played for like 9 years in college.
Yes, he did.
And he's had a ton of starts, including last year, in his rookie season. So he's just so far ahead of the development curve of JJ. I still think there are times with Bo Nix where Broncos fans are wondering like, hey, come on, man, we need a little bit more out of you at this stage, especially on a team that looks like it could go to the Super Bowl with everything else they have going on there. So I'm not sure yet. And I guess I'm being a little wishy-washy here because I just don't want to give Sean Payton the credit here. I don't want to say he pulled one over
Gaardsy,
on the Vikings.
Yeah,
and do it. So I'm not ready to admit it just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out who Gaardsy despises more, SGA or Payton. I think it's Payton by a little, but I don't think it's. I think it's probably too close to call. Where was I on the? I had one other thing I wanted to get to on the purple. Well, let's save it. I might get back to it. Let's go ahead and find some time for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I need to talk to you about. Would you describe the head coach's, speaking of Finchie, would you describe the head coach's comments on who he's playing and who he's not as his declaration of war, so to speak, as it pertains to some of the young players? What did he say that's got everybody's attention, and what do we make of it?
Yeah, I would say I'm not going to describe it as a declaration of war, but he's planting his flag, I would say. If you were trying to search for euphemisms and descriptors of it. But basically what happened at the end of last night's game, at the end of his press conference, he was asked just about the idea of playing these young guys. And maybe, there has certainly been some questioning about Rob Dillingham in particular, but even Shannon as well. There have been many games this year, especially for Dillingham, where he'll play maybe 7 minutes in the first half in one shift and then not get another run in the second half. And a lot of the times what Finch has said is kind of that you earn your second shift with how you play in your first shift. And there is this idea, and it's not just a fan trolling type of an idea, but it's one that, hey, sometimes these guys, to get a rhythm, to get comfortable, you need extended runs. You need a couple of bites at the apple in a game to kind of find yourself and get into the game. And a lot of times these guys have not gotten those opportunities. And so he was just kind of asked about how he goes about constructing a 10-man rotation and trying to get players the opportunity to play more than, one shift and find a way in. And he said the first sentence of his response is, well, I'm glad you asked that question. And when he says that, that he understands this sort of conversation has been swirling around this particular topic. And he basically said that, look, Terrence Shannon Jr. got 30 minutes the other night in Golden State because he earned those 30 minutes. Yep. And he said, this is the case. When you play 10 guys on a team that's trying to win, sometimes you're only going to be able to play 10 minutes or less. It's what you do with those 10 minutes. And his kind of philosophy is every minute that you get on a team that is in the hunt is our quality minutes, and you have to do what you can with that. And if you can't handle it, then he's got to look elsewhere. And so it was a pretty definitive description of how he views the rotation and what he's going to do going forward.
Yeah, and he's right. I mean, I think the quote was saying, well, if you're only on there for 10 minutes, make it a hellacious 10 minutes. It's not illegal to do that, even though there's stuff about getting into rhythm and all that. The part of it that I think still should be concerning to Wolves fans is you can agree with Finchie on that, as I do, and say, but the fact is the way this team has been built and who's stayed and who's gone, unless you start getting some more production from those people, I think it's sort of hard to see where this thing is headed. You know, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is he may have every reason to do it the way he's doing it, but in of itself, then that's a little bit of an indictment about young players who I think were very highly thought of.
Yeah, for sure. I think particularly with Dillingham, I'll say, Dan, that I do think there's real valid concern about what he is as an NBA player. And I think that in a perfect world for Rob Dillingham, he would be on the Washington Wizards right now playing 25 minutes a night and just being able to miss shots and turn the ball over and then have other stretches where he's hitting shots and getting confidence going, and there's not really any stakes. That's just the kind of player that he is and what he probably needs the most right now. He's not on that team right now, so you have to try and figure out, is he up for being a rotation player on a team that wants to go to the Western Conference Finals, wants to go to the finals? And so far, the answer has been it doesn't look that way. And the question then becomes is, what is the best way to truly evaluate that? Can you already make that decision, Dan? And do you look in the trade market and maybe you try to move him before his value just really dips too much? Or do you stick with him, kind of a la J.J. McCarthy, and ride out these bumpy patterns and hope that, a light bulb comes on later in the season, maybe even going in to next year? It's a tough position. I don't know what the right answer is, frankly, Dan, but that one in particular is the big one right now. I think Shannon's going to be fine. He's big. He's physical. He will eventually get himself to a point where he can be a ninth man and helpful on a lot of nights. He's had some injuries and other things like that. Dillingham is the one that is still very much up in question, and there's probably some people that have already made the decision that he's just not going to work out. Any
president of basketball operations, general manager, in whatever the sport is, their due diligence is required to include what might be out there that we have to at least consider, right? So I have no problem with speculative pieces on any number of point guards who might at some point be available and that the Wolves might have inquired about or haven't yet, but might be on their radar. I'll ask it this way. Of the people that you believe might be gettable, even if in some cases it might be a decently high price, does anyone intrigue you potentially more than the others?
Yeah, it's the market is very weird right now because I for one don't think, Dan, that Ja Morant, Trae Young, LaMelo Ball are real viable options, and I have quibbles with all of their games given the money that they make. Yeah. So I don't think that that's necessarily the way that the Wolves would go, or are really considering. I don't think Chris Paul is an option right now. I mean, if things get desperate, maybe, but you're not going to replace one 38-year-old with another one right around that area. And so I think it's more. I do think Kobe White is on the radar. I do. I know that there's no active conversations with the Chicago Bulls right now, but I do think it's a possibility down the road. Now, he, again, is another one who, he's not a point guard. He's a combo guard, right, but he can handle the ball. He can shoot it. And he can score. So he would be helpful. And I think that eventually he will be attainable. I think there's a couple other guys. I would look at Dennis Schroeder in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. I would look at, TJ McConnell. I would look at, maybe even Trey Jones in Chicago, who's a little younger. I think the Bulls are less likely to part with him, but guys of that ilk in the 10 to 16, $17 million range, who are a little bit more classic point guards, are intriguing to me and worth exploring. But I do think, like, I know Joe Colley had the Kobe White thing, and I think that's true. I just don't think that there's anything active right now with that.
507 guy wants to know whether the Wolves are allowed to send Dillingham to the G League for a month. Can he go down there and then get a lot of playing time and come back? What are the rules there that dictate, and what's the Wolves thinking in that regard? Because obviously, deep down, I think they got to believe he needs to play somewhere.
Right. Yeah. So I think, he could go down. Yes, Dan. But I think that they really believe that he needs to be up here. I think that they believe that he will get his best work in practice up here and then playing in games, even if it is kind of minimal right now. But I think, honestly, Dan, that if there was an error in the way that they have developed Rob Dillingham so far, I think he should have been down in Iowa last year most of the year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
I think he should have played a lot more down there and just really got run and immersed himself in it and just got up and down and learn the system and make some adjustments and started to figure some things out. So I don't know exactly why he didn't spend more time down there last year, but I think it was a mistake on the Timberwolves' part to not have him play many, many more games down in Iowa last year, especially when it became clear that Finchie was going to stay with an 8-man rotation and there wasn't going to be time for him with the big club in his rookie season.
What about Colin Sexton?
Sexton's another guy. I mean, he's okay. Another scorer, but here's the thing, Dan, that I've kind of started to think about with some of those deals, with Kobe White, with Sexton. They are sort of redundant with Dante DiVincenzo, and maybe DiVincenzo would be the guy going out, but I would be reluctant to throw him out right now, Dan. I mean, he's not a perfect player by any means, but he is one of the few guys on this team that on a nightly basis is playing with an edge and with trying to get something going defensively.
More than last year, don't you think? More than last year, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, he's definitely more settled in. He's playing better. He's in the starting lineup, which he likes, and so he's playing better that way. And so I don't know that necessarily a Kobe White, and I'm pretty darn sure a Colin Sexton is not an improvement on what you have in Dante DiVincenzo right now. So that's some of the calculus too. If you can get a more classic point guard, maybe, you look at it, but if you're replacing one combo guard with another, Dante is playing at a pretty good level right now for this team, and so I'd be hesitant if that was kind of the outgoing swap that you needed to make.
How about Ricky Rubio in his prime? He'd be a nice little addition to this club.
Bring him back right now. It doesn't have to be in his prime. Like, just get him back in the city, get him back in that locker room. I'd give Anthony Edwards for him right now.
One of our hockey regulars writes, Johnny sounds like he has a little trade envy now that his GM isn't the big, bold GM in town today. Any truth to that deep down?
No truth at all, because I've lived it the last couple of years. The GM that I cover has not been bashful about pulling the trigger on big deals. But I'll say who I'm envious of. I am envious of Russo and Joe Smith right now, because it is so fun to be in the middle of reporting these big trades and telling the story of it, getting the nuggets and the details. And those two have been awesome in covering this story and just bringing everything to light. And so when that happens and the fans are so excited and there's so much information going on and you're competing against other outlets, and some of them cover high schools now and stuff, and that's great. But it's so awesome to just be in those stories and really just digging deep and trying to unearth everything you can. And so in that way, I am definitely envious of where Joe and Michael are right now. And hey, maybe I'll be in that situation a little bit later in this season. Who knows?
Paul is offering some criticism as well, Johnny. I'm just going to read this, and you make of it what you will. Johnny made a big deal on X, like a few other people, that yesterday was the first time the Vikings, Wild, and Wolves all won on the same day since 2003. What he failed to mention or research was the fact that it was the first time all three teams played on the same day since 2003. Is that true?
Is that right?
I'm just asking because everybody is making a big deal of it, and it does kind of change the significance of it if it's been that rare that they've all played on the same day. I guess I'm surprised. So I don't know how accurate he is, but that's what he is suggesting. All three have actually only played on the same day twice ever, and all three won both times, according to Paul from Florida.
That can't be right.
That I don't think it's right.
That can't be right.
I will say that the Wolves PR maven, Aaron Freeman, who's amazing, does a great job. He passed that along with the research that they did from stats. And I want to say, I don't have it at my fingertips, I want to say that there was at least 25 instances over the last however many years, maybe since the Wolves inception, or the Wild and Wolves inception or something like that, that this has happened. I don't quote me on that, but I don't think it's just a couple of times. I think that part is wrong. And so I think I'm gonna ride with Freeman right now. I didn't independently verify that, I will say that, but to me it does speak to the larger malaise of this market, and just like how often or how rare it is that everything is going well for our teams, even if it's just on one day. But yeah, I don't think it's only been like twice. That does not make sense.
Let's go to the fact-checking desk, Justin Gaardsy.
Well, I don't have the fact check. My comment was going to be, I don't think we need to overthink it and worry about it too much. I think it's a fun story, and I think we just go with it.
It's fun, but it's very different if it's if they've only played 5 times and we're making it like, oh my God, this is so rare. I think to me it does feel a little bit less significant. There is.
So I have to look at it. Doesn't it seem weird though? They would play more than 5 times.
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Just think October, November, December.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's true.
Yeah.
There is a tweeter who believes, though, even if you were approving of the Wild deal, that you acknowledge that the Canucks received a nice package. Is that fair to say?
I like that package.
Yeah, okay.
I do like that package. Yes, and that's again, like, that's to me that makes it even more impressive on Billy Guerin's part, because it doesn't sound like he pulled the wool over on the Canucks.
No,
he didn't have them backed into a corner and just like take them for everything they're worth and give them nothing. He had to pay a big price to extract Hughes, who is a great player.
Yeah.
And so he was willing to do that. That takes guts, man. And so, yes, I do like that package that was sent to Vancouver.
In the brief time during this interview, we chatted about the trade. Did you say, you know what, purposefully, knowing that that's the Bill Guerin cliche? You know what? Was that you trying to be snarky?
But you know what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple texters noticed that and thought that was you trying to maybe mock Bill Guerin a little bit.
But you know what?
I wish, Dan, that I went that deep on it. I really do. You know how I like to stir the pot with the hockey community. You know how I like to get the responses going from them, because they sometimes make themselves an easy target. But that one was just my natural manner of speaking too. Maybe that shows that Billy Guerin is becoming one of us as well, with just that little syntax that's going on. But that was not intentional.
Okay.
But maybe that, that just shows how deep my game can go when I'm doing it, even when I'm not trying to.
Lastly, my sources say you got something coming up with Finchy. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a super fun thing we're going to do at Head Flyer Brewing on Saturday, this Saturday the 20th, 4 p.m. start at Head Flyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis. A live John Krasinski show recording. Chris Finch is going to be there. A lot of the support from we have a Crunch Time beer that we sell there. That all the proceeds go to Second Harvest Heartland, so it's for a great cause. So if you come out, buy a couple of Crunch Time beers, you're gonna be able to kind of help the community and help food security issues right around the holidays, which is great. We have a great conversation with Chris Finch, and I can break some news right now, Dan, that Bones Highland is also going to join at Head Flyer Brewing on Saturday, starting at 4 p.m. So fans, if you want to hear from Finchy, if you want to hear from Bones Highland, the new point guard of the Minnesota Timberwolves, it should be an awesome show. So please come on out and support. And and feel good about doing it by helping Second Harvest Heartland.
The Bones Highland era of Minnesota Timberwolves basketball. I guess
he looks good in the trees. I'm not going to lie.
Well, and
he looks good in the trees.
I have to probably start giving a little bit more credit. I admit I've gotten hung up on the bias of, well, where's he been and Bones Highland. I mean, I love the nickname and it's okay, but where are we going with this thing? So I think he obviously has done enough where I need to maybe open my mind a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be comeback player of the year or anything, but it may be time for me to give him a little bit more slack. Is that correct?
He's playing well. Yeah, I'm not ready to say that, he's the Case Keenum of the Timberwolves right now yet, because he's got to do a little bit more, but he certainly is being helpful right now, and he gives them something that they haven't had at that spot, either with Conley or Dillingham. And so he played great last night, and we'll see as the competition increases later this week and stuff, how he fares. But so far it's been a really cool story for a guy that's bounced around a lot. Tim Connolly loves him, and he seems like he's finding his way with this group, and that's been cool to see.
Thank you, Johnny. We'll talk soon.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Appreciate you. John Krasinski, formerly known as AP Sports Guy, joining us. Brought to you by our good friends at RBC Wealth Management. Ben Lieber, usual time, probably about 4:47. And looky here. Look who has surfaced again regarding J.J. McCarthy. It's our guy, Chris Carter. He's back. And if you're a McBobo, I'm not sure you're going to love what he has said most recently. Has done our research for us. He claims, Dan, there are only two dates that all three teams played: December 15, 2025 and December 20, 2003. These are the previous occurrences before, I guess.
Wow, that just seems crazy.
So again, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it when you throw out it's been 20 years, I think the presumption is, wow, there's been a bunch of times where that's been that long. I mean, what's our record in those games? Like 4-90 or whatever. And I think it is actually germane to the conversation. Texter guy writes, Bill Guerin has big meatballs. After the trade, did Bill Guerin do the big meatball dance? I did. I think the same texter texted Sunday, and I used his text. It's clever. I like it. It's a callback to the Sam Cassell.
Exactly right.
Big balls dance. And Guerin confirmed with us that he was back on Meatball Patrol while he was talking with us at 9 a.m. on sermons.
How many meatballs do they need?
Well, it's the party of the century, he admits.
Yeah.
Like, they got a Christmas party coming up. I think he said he had like 65 pounds of meat.
Thanks for the invite, Billy.
Yeah, I that's what I said. But, I mean, we're not going to get to the Churchill room.
He's got big
We're
balls.
not going to get to Guerin's version of the Churchill room either. I just give up the votes.
I'm pretty sure Mace just had a big former player alumni dinner at Jack's Cafe.
He did. Somebody sent me a picture wondering if it was the Churchill room, and it wasn't.
Yeah, that was Jack's.
Jack's, as you said.
Great spot.
We were not invited to that either.
We were not. Yeah, that would have been nice. We could have talked about the impending Ring of Honor that I'm working on. Half those guys were there.
It just so rarely comes up with Mace.
God, I know. And he's coming tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, he is? I thought you were going to get him Wednesday.
No,
you can have him.
No, I can. Well, I'm on Wednesday too, aren't I?
Yeah, you're on both days. That's
true. So he's got to go tomorrow.
Oh, so he has to go tomorrow.
Yeah, he's got to go tomorrow. Okay. So I better have a Ring of Honor answer.
I was hoping to. I mean, I love him, but I was hoping to skip a week. But that's okay. We get through it. It's all right. And I didn't talk any about the Heisman yesterday because there was too much other stuff going on, especially with the hockey story. It's funny too that. Johnny mentioned the fun thing about a mega trade like that is if you're in the media, and in this case reporting, to be able to sort of deconstruct the deal and report on it, do an oral history of it, the whole bit, it is part of the fun. And it's part of the fun for us because, and again, you don't work on sermons, but you did a long time ago. And it's an easier show, but it is very, I think, nourishing, believe it or not, to the hosts when you have a story like that to follow. So, okay, who are we going to get? Well, we got to get Guerin.
Yep.
How about some bonus Russo? And we got both of them. And those are the best stories on our end to cover. They may not always work out, but on the front end, they're great to follow, and we'll continue to try to do so. In fact, Louis, it's a weird week for Louis, so he's not going to join us, I think, until Thursday. Chris Carter is back in the news on your favorite quarterback, well, at least right now, if you're a Vikings fan, J.J. McCarthy. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
He was on apparently today with Kay Adams.
He's on with her a lot.
And I guess Adams asked him what he thought about McCarthy's gritty into the end zone, which will be one of our talking points later. And I think Adams acknowledged that KOC wasn't the biggest fan.
He was not.
Quote from CC. These Michigan guys, that's what I thought. To me, that's not what KOC wants from his quarterback. Like that alternate personality, number 9, all that stuff. No one's ever won in the NFL doing this. To me, he acts like a kid. He's played like a kid. We're stuck with the kid till next year. Adams, trying to maybe soften the blow, said, hey, have you seen anything from McCarthy that's impressed you the last couple of weeks? The numbers have been a lot better. Here's the Carter response. It's the first time in 40 years, maybe even 50, since the Vikings been playing inside that they ever left the game satisfied after their quarterback threw for 150 yards. That's where we are the last 2 weeks. We have lowered our standards so much to accommodate him.
Wow.
That's pretty frontal.
Yeah.
And not exactly in the spirit of, hey, everything's kind of coming together. Now, I wasn't exactly celebratory early, but I wasn't on quite that level. Here's a little more from CC, but it's about winning. It's about growing. And we knew that we had a young quarterback. We knew that he didn't get a redshirt year last year. That year really hurt him. And this is what we're stuck with. When Carson Wentz gets hurt and now we can't go to the backup, we tried that and saw what happened out in Seattle, so we're stuck with him. That's the third time in this interview he has said we're stuck with him. Hope he can stay healthy because these reps that he's getting, especially against a competition like Dallas Sunday night, they're invaluable for his overall growth. I still believe he can be the franchise quarterback.
Well, there you go.
But let me tell you something right now today, we don't know.
I'm glad I heard that last part because I was just thinking about when he joined you a few weeks ago, and he seemed to be trying to calm everybody down.
Yeah, he was.
That it was going to be okay.
A little bit more.
It'll be okay, Vikings fans.
He got some shots in, but then he kind of did a little bit of a backpedal from that point. For one, this is the first time during JJ's career, that meaning Justin Jefferson, that they can't attack the full field. Ever since his rookie year in KOC's offense, they've been able to throw the ball and take deep shots downfield, especially off the play action. And you can see that he's starting to press because he's not getting the numbers that he's used to. Randy Moss had some of the same issues. He was so successful earlier in his career that when things became difficult, and they only got difficult with inconsistency at quarterback, so he's pressing. CC. This is all, there's more, and this is via Bring Me the Sports of Bring Me the News fame. That was my, I give them credit because they put this thing together as well. So there you have it. And again, you don't have to agree with Chris Carter. You can think that's being a little bit too owly, but it's why I love him, man. He doesn't care about what he's supposed to say. And that's what, ever since he was a player here, I think made him one of my favorite interviews. It still is. Let's make this the bottom of the hour break. We've got talking points to get to. Ode to a Dead Guy coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well, and Ben Lieber later this hour. Man. In just a bit, maybe we get to, we got a bunch of Vikings talking points, right? You worked hard on them.
Brought to you by Federated Insurance.
Exactly right. Let me get down to the talking points page. And let's start, as the late, great Ron Rosenbaum would say, at the beginning.
The Minnesota Moving Company is without Christian Darrisaw at left tackle, replaced by Justin Skoll. McCarthy, second down, shotgun, throws to the right. Oh, it's batted in the air. Oh, it's picked up by It was a block shot, tipped into the air, and Quinnen Williams, the former Jet, has secured the interception in his 99th start.
Well, Dallas came out in 5-man front. They started out with the 4-man front, then they bring in Odigizua to add an extra body. They even blitzed somebody off of the edge, so they definitely were putting pressure. McCarthy was just trying to get rid of it quickly across the middle, and the ball batted up in the air. So the one thing that McCarthy did not do last week was throw the football away, and we're already -1 tonight, so not a great start.
Why am I like this? I kind of hoped they were just, oh my God, here we go again. I wanted their reaction to be a lot more visceral and less professional than it was. Because all they basically did is describe that situation. But you know and I know that the average Vikings Rube fan was thinking, here we go. Again, we had our cutesy little victory over Washington last week, and now we're back to reality, especially when later, it was on that drive, was it not? That we held them to 4th down, and then they tried the fake field goal?
The fake field goal 3 plays later, basically, or 4 plays later. Which is an interesting
flip, and then they ended up with a touchdown on that drive, correct?
Yes, although it wasn't that drive. Didn't we also stop them on 4th and 1, or was that a different drive?
I can't remember.
Where they ended up scoring. I can't remember.
I'm not exactly sure.
We defended every blade of grass, as the head coach likes to say.
Here's a talk, but this is a question I'd love to ask Chris Carter right now. Here's a talker for you, Dan. Where does McCarthy rank currently on the list of quarterbacks that have played for the Vikings? Something you can track as he hopefully ascends up the list. Be a great question for Chris Carter today. He might lose his mind on it. This seems a little bit vicious to me. Big surprise Barrero is a fan of a salty, petulant former athlete who labels current athletes as those guys while attacking their winning performance, I should say. Shocking. Believe this or don't, I am a fan of him because he speaks his mind. I think he's being harsher than necessary this week. I wouldn't have picked this week to go as far as Chris Carter did. But I just like that. I mean, I think even by Chris Carter standards, that would be considered a surprising series of answers today. I like surprising. I like, whatever you think you're supposed to say or whatever. Well, this is really what you're supposed to say about J.J. McCarthy after these 2 games. He didn't give a damn. I appreciate that. I appreciate the willingness. And again, he's got his biases just like everybody else. You don't even have to necessarily agree with him, but who gives us more to bounce off of over the years than Carter? And I'll tell you the truth, a lot of times I tend to agree with the sentiment, as unpopular or as unsettling, uncomfortable as some of those opinions might well make you as well. CC is a clown. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or not. Sounds like he needs a fall guy for his podcast interview. So this isn't J.J. McCarthy. This isn't a burner account for J.J. McCarthy's quarterbacks coach, right? Who called him a clown, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Does he listen to the show? What's his area code? It's 612.
I doubt he's a 612 guy. I think he's
Chicago-based, isn't he? Although your phone can be from anywhere.
It could be anywhere, yeah,
I've learned
especially
that
nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could have had that a while. For example, I think Sam Mitchell's cell is still a 612 number.
It is.
If I'm not mistaken.
It is. To answer your question about the first Vikings Talking Point brought to you by Federated Insurance.
Yes.
You may not believe me, and I might be in the minority, but when bad things happen that early,
you almost think that you're not that bothered?
I'm not that bothered. You chuckle about it because you hear PA. PA hasn't even set up the broadcast yet. He's got all these notes that he wants to get in before, which is what a good play-by-play guy does. So he's setting up the whole thing, and here's who's in, here's who's out, here's some stats you need to know, here's some trends that we're thinking about. He hasn't even been able to do that to get to, page 2, and the Vikings have already turned it over. And then where I will admit a little bit of weakness was the fake field goal on that drive. Where he said, stop him. That's a great call by them, by the way. I mean, that's really good coaching to just say.
Well, how would you even describe? It's like did he flip it over his shoulder?
Yes.
How would you describe the flip by the holder?
He just flipped it behind him over his shoulder to the kicker that was running.
It wasn't like he he kind of shot-putted it. It was like a flip, like you said. It was nicely done.
Bursic nailed it that they went to the Zayraj side because Isaiah Rodgers is always crashing hard. And fake field goals are very rare in the National Football League, and you don't see them very much a lot of times because they don't work.
Our last fake field goal took place during the Bud Grant era, I believe.
Pretty close. PA did have that nugget on Twitter.
Did he?
Yes. Somebody threw it to Jeff Dugan. I do remember that. So that's dating.
I remember that. Okay.
I think it was 2017. But that's when I started going, all right, what are we doing, guys? Like,
yeah,
at least pay attention. But credit to the defense. They did hang on as long as they possibly could until they ended up in the end zone. But when early stuff happens like that, there's still so much time that as long as you put together some type of response at some point, which they did, you can usually make up for it.
Let me get to maybe one or two quick texts as well. I don't know who hurt Chris Carter, but his constant whining and over-the-top opinions are just so lame. Why? Because you disagree with them? Why are they lame? Because they're not standard? Because he doesn't always say what politely he's supposed to say? I just don't understand what the issue. And by the way, yes, Chris Carter is in the Hall of Fame.
Pretty easily.
Was he first ballot? I don't remember.
I don't know about the ballot.
But he was. He's not borderline. He was a slam dunk Hall of Fame entrant. Now, where I think he probably hurt himself a little bit was because I asked him about this, and he said this isn't an Ohio State Michigan thing because some of my favorite players played at Michigan, including Charles Woodson.
Yep.
But when he starts it, when he characterizes it the way he did today in that interview with, who was it with? Kay
Adams.
Kay Adams. It comes off a little bit like, those Michigan guys. Like,
when he says that, yeah.
And how many other Michigan guys have been, have spoken the way JJ has? I don't even know very many. Have any others done alter egos? Brady didn't.
Not really.
I don't think Charles Woodson did.
Charles Woodson didn't, no.
Yeah, I don't think so, but that's probably where he hurts himself just a little bit. But I think the lesson to me is we still got to see more. We're seeing some positive signs for sure, but we got to see. We can't go crazy and act like all's well and all's right with the world. Not enough has happened yet, especially when you factor in you played two really, really crappy defenses back to back, albeit the second one on the road, Dallas, Texas. Let's come back and chat with Nacho. He was there for all of it. We'll get Lieber's view. If you have questions for him, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is 646-646.